Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our Managing Fixed Assets in Business Central webinar. My name is Gina Honer, and I am a senior ERP consultant working with both Business Central and GP for True North Dynamics. Joining me today is Michelle Cerna. She's our director of our ERP team, and she'll be managing the queue. Speaking of queues, a little bit of housekeeping. So we have the Q&A feature enabled for our meeting. If you have a question, just send it on over. One of our moderators will either answer your question or we'll save it for the end. Once the webinar is finished, we will send you a link to the recording and to the slide deck. So looking at our agenda for today, we're going to take a quick look at some of the standard features and fixed assets in Business Central, along with some of the not so well-known features. I have a slide with some Excel versus BC differences. And then we're going to end up with a demo and a Q&A session. So let's get started. How about this? A black and white slide. So black and white differences between Excel and Business Central. So Excel typically gives you basic information, right? You're going to enter the asset number if you have one, maybe a class, the description, acquisition, date and amount. Okay, typical flat information. Business Central, on the other hand, is going to handle all kinds of details for you. We're going to create ledger entries for you to view. We'll keep history on that activity for the asset. We're going to track where it's stored, what category does it belong to, a group of posting accounts. Maybe you are tracking insurance and maintenance on that asset, disposal information. So lots of details in BC for that particular asset. Now we know that Excel doesn't have much data validation. Okay, you can pretty much do what you want in Excel without some pretty tight controls. But within Business Central, we're going to make sure that what you're entering falls in line with what's set up for that asset. You are going to be choosing from a drop-down or entering from a list, creating entries. You can't just type in alpha characters in what is routinely a number field. So there's going to be some data validation. I mean, we know human error is going to exist wherever we are. We just want to minimize it as much as we can. Business Central has complete integration for our fixed assets. Fixed assets can integrate with, of course, the general ledger, but also purchasing and purchases. And Excel doesn't have any ERP system integration. So you could have difficulty tying out financial statements, right? You might be having to rekey in numbers from one Excel file to another, or even if you are linking spreadsheets together, anything can happen if you type in the wrong number, right? It can happen, it will happen, and then you have to go backwards and figure out what happened. Whereas in Business Central, your ERP system for your financial statements is going to be integrated automatically with the general ledger. You can also run fixed asset reports too through Business Central. What else do we have? Oh, security. So we know what happens with just an Excel file on the server. It's easy to hit that delete key. But fixed asset data in Business Central is going to be stored in the cloud. We have a more secure environment for you. You can't just delete an asset if it has any activity on it. We're not going to let you do that. So we want to keep your data safe and sound and out of harm's way. Plenty of reports in Business Central. We've got a whole bunch of built-in reports for you. Plus, if you are a BC user now, you know about the Analyze feature on the list pages. So we can create some really cool reports right within the list page. For Excel, well, you're going to write those reports. You're going to decide what do you need, and you're going to create it in Excel and move the data back and forth. And of course, depreciation. So that's a big part. Depreciation in Business Central, you get to standardize it, right? You tell us what the depreciation method should be for the asset. We're going to take care of the calculation for you. Whereas over in Excel, it's a manual process. You may have a formula there, but you still are manually clicking on a field to do that calculation for you. So we know all of this, right? There's really no big surprises here between Excel and Business Central. So really now it's just a matter of you moving your assets from Excel over to Business Central. So let's take a look at some of the key features of managing assets in BC. Acquisitions. Well, we're going to record your purchase information. We want to know what you bought, when you bought it, how much it cost, who you bought it from. You can have multiple depreciation books in BC. One of those books is labeled as your corporate or your company book, and that's the one that integrates with the general ledger. But lots of people keep multiple books, AMT, a tax book. Oftentimes those books have accelerated methods of depreciation, so you can look at your assets under different depreciation methods. We'd like to track the location. Where is that asset? Of course, you can assign dimensions to your assets too. One of the really cool features is you can budget for assets. We're going to take a look at that today. So maybe you are thinking in your head of some capital expenditures, and we're going to be getting some new assets hopefully in the next couple years. So let's take a look at what will happen if you do those purchases. What does the depreciation look like? How does it affect your budget? So we can set up budgeted assets, no integration with the GL. Once we have created those assets, now we get to track them. Right, we're going to track the standard depreciation, right? That's pretty typical. If you move the asset from one location to another or from one dimension value to another, you can reclassify that asset. But here's some of the not so well-known features for asset tracking. Preventative maintenance. Let's keep track of the maintenance maybe on our vehicles or our machinery and equipment so that we can see what's breaking down. Maybe there's something that needs to be disposed of sooner rather than later. You can track insurance, right? The insurance policies that you have on individual assets, warranty information, and all kinds of activity for those assets. When we calculate depreciation, we'll calculate it for all the books that are assigned to that particular asset with those different depreciation methods. And we have good reporting for accurate record keeping. So lots of reports for you. The reports within Business Central are nice because they each one gives a little bit of different views or information for the asset. We're going to take a look at several of them today. You can acquire an asset using a purchase order. You can do it via a purchase invoice. You can acquire it just on the asset card itself and have it go back to the general ledger. So we have all kinds of ways that we can set up our assets and make sure that the GL does get integrated with it. And then we'll be able to make sure that our subledger, all of our asset information, ties out to our general ledger. Benefits of fixed assets. Well, with all that data tracking we have, hopefully we're minimizing downtime and we've got reduced costs. If we have an asset that's causing us a lot of problems, let's get rid of it. Do something with it so that it doesn't keep eating up our money, right? We can be proactive with maintenance. Maybe we need to move an asset from one location to another because someone else needs it more. Go ahead and transfer it, right? Or maybe it's just time to dispose of an asset. Sell it, retire it, whatever we need to do for it. With all the data that we track for your assets, we'd like to think that your ROI would be maximized. If you keep this additional information, you're going to have a different view of your asset that's going to help drive your decisions. And of course, we want to make sure we're following accounting standards. The system is GAAP compliant if you have to follow GAAP. If not, and you're just following regular accounting standards for your business or even your industry, we're going to be able to take care of that with depreciation calculations and the types of reports that you'll need. So all three of those things amount to increased productivity, doesn't it? So we're going to free up time and your resources because these tasks can be automated, okay? These repetitive tasks will take up less time because we're just going to let Business Central do the work. We won't have to be worrying about our spreadsheets and what happened to that number because I know it's different now. Or how many backups do I have to make of this file so that in case somebody hits that delete key, right? We're going to keep track of that information, safely and securely in Business Central for you. Okay, well, you know what that does? That brings us now to our demo. And let me hop over to Business Central. So here in Business Central, we are in the Advanced Demo Company. This is a demo environment that we use internally, and we do a lot of demos here. So there's some silly data that you're going to see in fixed assets, but you know it's better than looking at boring furniture, right? So we're going to take it up a notch. We're going to set up a new asset. So I'm starting at the basics here. We're going to create an asset and acquire it. So how do I do that? Well, there's several ways. The first way I'm going to show you is under fixed assets. Here's my list of assets. So you'll notice some of them have alphanumeric, some of them are just, what am I saying, alpha characters, you know, all these different things. I am going to click the plus new button. The first field is the asset number. You can let Business Central assign it for you, or you can type it in yourself. And of course, I'm going to take advantage of typing in, I'm going to buy a crazy new car. I'll use the same for the description. Business Central asks, is it a tangible or intangible asset? I want to know what an intangible car looks like. Anyway, tangible. The subclass is important, plus it's required. Here, we ask you which group, and these are defined by you, which group does this particular asset belong to? And along with assigning this subclass, we will automatically be assigning the posting group. So Business Central right away will know the 10 default posting accounts that potentially could be used for this particular asset. My location, I'm going to keep it in my garage. Now I'm going to come down to the next FAST tab and assign my asset to its book. The posting group is vehicles, and that came from assigning it to the subclass. Okay. I would select my depreciation method and then my place in service date. I'm going to say 1/1/24, and I have a 7-year life on this asset. Business Central calculates the ending day for us. If I have additional books to assign the asset to, I can choose add more books right now. You also, if you have additional books, you can set up those books so that it automatically copies that asset information. Now the maintenance FAST tab, I do want to track maintenance on this asset. So I'm going to fill in some basic information now. Is FYI only, doesn't drive any type of transaction. The first field is the vendor number. Who did I buy this from? Of course, I bought it from a place called Automart. Who is your preferred vendor for maintaining this asset? I have a friend who owns a place called the Car Repair Center. Now, if the asset is not in service and it's under maintenance, you can turn this toggle on. It's FYI, no entries, nothing happens with it in the financial system. If you have a maintenance contract or some sort of predetermined service dates, you can go ahead and enter in when the next service date will be. And if you have a warranty or an extended warranty on it, what's the warranty date? And I have a warranty that actually goes out the full 7 years. Notice it says insured, no. Okay, we're going to come back to that. Under electronic document, now this is used for, I'm going to mess this up. I don't remember what SAT stands for, but this is really for trucks and trailers and the motor carrier and vehicle licensing and taxes. But there are 2 fields here that I can keep track of. What's the license plate for this vehicle? It's going to be CH Enzo. Okay, CH is champion, Enzo is my dog. The year of the vehicle, 2024. Okay, look at all the information I have right here. Now, I also can assign my asset to one of my dimensions. Now, within this company, I have lots of different dimension codes because, as I mentioned earlier, we use this company for lots of demos. But I'm going to put it into a department, and the department is going to be admin because the admin gets the crazy car. You'll notice under our depreciation book fast tab, book value says 0. This is a read-only field. So now my next step is to acquire the asset. I have a notification going across the top of my page, this teal bar, it says acquire. I also have under my home menu, my acquire button here. Okay, either one brings us to the same place. So now we're going to record the actual acquisition, and Business Central gives us a wizard to do this. So I'll go ahead and click next. You have 3 choices for the other side of the entry. So we know already the debit side of the entry is going to go to the asset cost account number assigned to the posting group. Okay, that's going to take care of the debit. Well, what's the credit? You have 3 choices. You can assign it to a GL account. You can assign it to a vendor. Maybe you have an invoice in your hand and you want to create that vendor's invoice and mark it to be paid. Maybe you've paid for it already and you're going to take the money out of your bank account. Okay, I'm going to use GL account, and I use this regularly, and this is one of the things that I do teach when I teach this class. Okay, so the GL account is going to be what I call a fixed asset clearing account. Now, what do I do with this? This is going to be the credit side of the entry. Technically, I would have an invoice or some sort of document. I bought this asset, right? Even if I financed it, I still owe somebody money. So I could have a vendor invoice. Well, if I credit this account here, when I look at the GL balance, if there's a credit balance in the account, that tells me, hey, I set up an asset, but I haven't paid for it yet, or I have no paperwork. I have nothing else on the other side here. If there's a debit balance in the account, then that tells me, hey, somebody entered a purchase invoice or did a purchase order receiving, and they debited my fixed asset clearing account because they knew it was an asset that needed an item that needed to be capitalized. So I like that because then there should be no balance in the account. If the asset has been entered as being owed money for and you've acquired the asset, it's going to net that 18940 account to 0. Okay. So I'm using my fixed asset clearing account for this, and I'm going to go ahead and select next. The amount of my car, my crazy new car, cost me, I don't know, it's going to cost me $150,000 because it's a really crazy car. And I bought it on 1/1/24. I'll press next here. Now, Business Central is going to create a fixed asset GL journal. So my clue right there is this will go to the general ledger. Now it doesn't post it. It's going to create the journal for me, and then I get to take a look at it. So I'll go ahead and press finish. And here's my journal. I can add additional information here. I don't need a maintenance code. We're going to talk about that later. We can change descriptions, but the bottom line is it created the entry for us. Could you have done this yourself? Sure. Could you have entered a purchase invoice and acquired the asset through a purchase invoice? Yes, you could have. It doesn't happen as often because when you enter a purchase invoice, the asset already has to be set up in Business Central, not acquired, but just the setup needs to be done because you have to tell that purchase invoice what asset you're purchasing. So oftentimes we're going to do it through the fixed asset GL journal. Okay, I'll go ahead and post this. And I'm going to close this page. I'm back here on my crazy car. Do you see my book value now says 150,000? It has a drill down to it. And it's going to show me all the activity for the asset since day one. So anytime I run depreciation, I'm going to see that in here. So this is all your detail. These are your fixed asset ledger entries, not necessarily in the general ledger, right? But this is what has affected your asset. Insurance still says no. And I want to insure this crazy new car. So I have a couple steps. The first thing I have to do is assign it to an insurance policy. So I'm going to look up insurance policies. I'll click the plus new button. Now here's another place where you can assign the number or you can let Business Central do it. And for the insurance card, I'm letting Business Central. So now I'm in my description, crazy new car. Who is the vendor? Who's insuring it? It's State Farm is insuring it. And my effective date, well, I bought it 1/1/24. And my expiration date is, what's 7 years from there? 12/31/30. Now, if we think about a real insurance policy, it's probably a 1-year policy, right? So if you just put in here that it expires 12/31/24, and then you create the next step, which is an insurance entry, that's okay too, okay? This is FYI, and so is the insurance type. So if you want to track the different types of insurance that you can have for your company, you can set those up. I'm just going to select vehicles. And my policy number, let's see, it's going to be crazy 01/01/24. The annual premium on this car is $1,800, and the coverage is for the full amount. All right, down here under the Posting Fast tab, it's my tangible asset again. My subclass is vehicles. Now my fixed asset location is the garage. This is not an inventory location, okay? It's a fixed asset location, totally different. Now there's no posting here. Think of the insurance card as a master record. So I've just assigned a policy. Now I'm going to actually record the cost of the policy. To do that, we're going to create a fixed asset insurance journal. Our date will be 1/1/24 again. Now this is a fixed asset insurance journal, no word of the GL in here, okay? So nothing from this transaction goes to the general journal. So here's my crazy new car. And there's the asset on it. I can put in a different description, something about insurance if I wanted. Okay, my coverage is $150,000. And it's sitting in my admin department. And these are some other dimension codes that I can track here. Okay, it's just, think of it, I hate saying a one-sided entry because the accountants on the phone will just cringe, and so do I. But it's only going to the subledger, right? So we are going to say we are insuring this vehicle for $150,000. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and post this. All right, I'm going to close this page. We are back here on our insurance card. Under my home button, I have a button that says statistics. I'm going to go ahead and press that button. And what you see here is just some high-level information. But what's nice is my policy coverage was $150,000 and what I insured was $150,000 also. So I'm not over or under insured. Now I can stay on this insurance card and I've got some reports here. Under reports, I see analysis. Now I can print this for all my insured assets. I'm just going to print it right now for my crazy new car, wherever it is. There it is, my crazy new car. I'll do a preview so that I can make it bigger because when I actually print it, it's teeny tiny. So it's showing me for my crazy car, just some summary information. You know what, I do want to print it for all of them because I want to show you. Oh. Take a look at our Mercedes. It's the first car on the list. It's underinsured by $7,000. So my coverage, my policy, the insurance card is $35,000. But the value that I insure, was $42,000. So Business Central is telling me, hey, you're $7,000 underinsured. You better change your policy. All right, let's continue on. I'm going to cancel this page. I'm going to close my insurance card along with my policy. Now I'm back here on my asset card. And you'll see now insured says yes. When I drill down on this, it will show me any of the insurance activities that I have. Those are those fixed asset insurance journals. There's a report called the insurance list. It's a good report for budgeting. And this shows me all my insurance policies, dates, numbers, etc., premium and policy coverage. So if I'm looking at budgeting for insurance premiums for a future year, this is what it could look like as of right now. When those premiums change, then you would go into the insurance card and change the premium amount. There's another report that I like. It's called the insurance coverage details. And think of this as the details for summary information. It's going to show you all of the activity, insurance activity for your assets. Make this a little bigger. So here's our Mercedes. So we have an asset for 34,000 or an insurance activity fixed asset insurance journal for 34. And then I don't know why, but I added 1,000. But then I added 7,000. So because the value of my Mercedes increased by $7,000. That's why I'm underinsured, because I have some additional transactions here and I didn't update my insurance card. My crazy new car, of course, is down here and everything is good on it. So tracking insurance on your assets might be a good benefit for you to give you a good picture, an overall picture of what's going on. Let's talk about maintenance. So I'm still on my crazy new car and we put in a vendor information. This is just who you bought it from and if you have a preferred vendor for maintenance, right? Now, over here, these dates here, they don't trigger anything, but they're there for you to, well, there's reports that you can run for it, or you can run for them. So after I have this information, what am I going to do? I'm going to select fixed asset off my menu bar and come over to maintenance registration. Now there's no integration with anything here. This is, think of it like a notepad. You can keep track of service dates, who the vendor was, what they did, maybe even who and a phone number. Okay. This is a high level type of page. But what if you have some actual maintenance and you need to record it so that it goes to the general ledger? Okay, well, what we're going to do then, we have a couple choices. The first choice is to record a fixed asset, spelling, GL journal. Now, as soon as I see GL, I know this will go to the general ledger. Let's say my maintenance was 6/30/24. My account type is not a GL account, it is a fixed asset. The account number is your asset number. So we're going to go to our crazy car. Where's my, oh, it's in alpha order, isn't it? Crazy car. There's my crazy new car. It's assigned, the book that is integrated with the general ledger is my company book. My FA posting type, this is a maintenance entry. Maintenance code, this is a good field for reporting. You get to set these up. What type of maintenance is it? Oh, I better not have needed an oil change. I'll just say some service. Now I'm going to go ahead and put in the amount of the service. I'll say it's $299. This is going to create an entry. So we need two sides to it, right? The debit is going to be to the maintenance account number assigned to this assets posting group. We're looking at the credit side. My balance account type, now I've got a whole big list here, but I can only use 2 of these. Can either be a GL account or can be a bank account. If you try to select something else, you're going to get a message. Okay. So I'm thinking in my head, all right, if I already paid for the service, I could go bank account and then select the bank account that I paid from and be done with it. But I haven't, and I'm going to get an invoice for it, but I don't have the invoice yet. Therefore, I'm going to use GL account. And do you know what account I'm going to use? My fixed asset clearing account. Now, when that vendor invoice comes in, the invoice can be recorded, but the debit side of that transaction is going to go to fixed asset clearing. So it will zero out this account here. All right, let's go ahead and post this. Let's take a look at what happened to our asset card. So under fixed assets, we have a button that says statistics. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. If I scroll all the way down to the bottom, I hope you can see it because I can't scroll any further. Here's my maintenance of $299. If I drill down on it, I'll see my entry here for the service. So my maintenance code is right here. I also, well, that was too many mouse clicks. When I come into statistics and I drill down, this takes me to my maintenance ledger entries. If you want to bypass the statistics page, you can do that by choosing related, history, and maintenance ledger entries. And it will take you directly there. Now, maybe you have the invoice in your hand and you can record it right away. Well, heck, let's go ahead and record a purchase invoice. I'll click the plus new button. Who's my vendor? It's that car repair people. Maybe. There we go. So maintenance was on June 30th. My invoice number, there's my invoice on it. Now we put our line item information in, right? But it's not an item this time. It's not even a GL account. It's a fixed asset. My number is going to be my crazy car. This is not an acquisition. This is maintenance. I can put in a description here, maybe what was done. Now I've got location, I've got project information. I don't need any of that for this transaction. My quantity will be 1, and I can put in that same $299. Now what's going to happen is Business Central will once again take a look at the posting accounts assigned to this asset. It'll use the account number assigned to the maintenance label. That'll be the debit. And the other side of the entry is going to be AP for our car repair center. What we don't have here that we have on our fixed asset GL journal is that maintenance code. So where we got to select service, and you may have seen in the list, there was like new tires, tire rotation, recall. We don't have access to it. We actually do have the field. If you use profiles and you can personalize from profiles, the field is there, but it's not editable. So a good recommendation that I'm going to make to Microsoft is make the field editable so that we can add it to the line here and keep track of the types of service we are using or having for that particular asset. The rest of the transaction gets recorded as usual. Nothing else is different here except what we put on the line. I'm going to go ahead and post this. And we're going to go back to our asset card. My statistics is now going to show $598. If I wanted to go directly to the maintenance ledger entries, I could do that, right? And now I see my 2 transactions. So my first one here was the fixed asset GL journal. The second one was the purchase invoice. Now, I have a couple cool maintenance reports. There's a maintenance report called Next Service Date. So if you are tracking dates of services, you can come in here and put a date range in. We'll give you a list of what assets fall into that date range that will need service. I'm not going to put a date range in. I'm just going to show you all of them. This gives me a list of all my assets and their next service date. Another report for maintenance that I like is the fixed asset maintenance details. So similar to insurance details, now we're looking at maintenance details. I am going to run it for everything. So now it's showing me all the maintenance entries I have for each one of my assets. Now, I've done something for a lot of them. It's only showing me the assets, though, that have entries. So you might be saying to yourself, I'm never going to remember all these reports, right? You're not. But there is a fairly new feature. From your menu bar, you should have a button now that says All Reports. And this is going to take all the reports, categorize them by different areas in Business Central. And this is the greatest place to find all these reports. I'm going to choose finance here because I see fixed assets is under finance, right? So when I expand this, even though it says 1, it's like I have 1 heading. And now it says 3, and it's not 3 reports. It's 3 categories of reports. If I want to see reports that are specific to my assets, I can click on that. These are all links to those actual report pages. So when it comes to insurance, look what I have here. When it comes to maintenance, look what I have. These are all predefined reports for you. Okay, I want to go back now. So I'm going to go back a page. I'm back here at my asset list. And it's time to calculate depreciation. So I'm going to use my lookup. I'm going to choose calculate depreciation. I'm going to calculate it for June 30th. Make some changes here. 6/30. So I am in a sandbox environment, which means I do have less resources than if I were in a production environment. So there's a little bit of a difference there too. I'm going to calculate the depreciation for all of my assets as of June 30th. Business Central is going to actually create an entry for me. What did I miss? Oh, shucks. This is what happens when you do something right before class starts. Let's just delete this asset. Okay, go back. All right, I'll go ahead and click OK. Now, I want you to watch carefully. The depreciation's been calculated. 3 fixed asset journal lines were created. Okay, just remember that. Yes, I want to see it. Watch what happens now. 23 fixed asset general ledger journal lines were created. Well, you say, well, what the heck, right? I do want to see that. First, fixed asset GL journal. Here's my depreciation for June for any and all the assets that need June depreciation. Taken care of for me right here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and post that. But then you say, well, Gina, what was that other thing it said? You have 3 fixed asset journals. This is going to lead us into our next topic. These are budgeted assets. We can run depreciation because we can look at it. We can project depreciation. We can run depreciation. It's only going to go to the fixed asset journal itself, right? So the assets that I have that are budgeted assets that need June depreciation, there's 3 of them. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and post this, which takes us now into our next topic, which is budgeting fixed assets. So maybe you have some wild ideas in your head for capital purchases next year. And the smart part of you says, well, let me see what it's going to look like. You can create an asset that's considered a budgeted asset and play with it. Now, what I did, I've got some in here already. I just put a B in front of them so that, well, for 2 reasons. 1, B for budget. But 2, when I keep them nice and next to each other like this, it's easy for me to run a report using a range. So I am going to create a new asset for budgeting purposes only. Okay, I'll click the plus new button. I'm going to create B-cabin cruiser. I want to buy a boat. I'll use the same for the description. It'll be a tangible asset. My subclass, should I choose? What's it going to be? I'll just consider it equipment. I don't have a location because I don't own it. But here's the big one. It's a little toggle. You turn on the toggle. This tells Business Central, yep, this is a fixed asset, but it's a budgeted asset. It will not be included with anything that goes to the general ledger. I'm going to use straight line depreciation. My start date's going to be 1/1/25, and the life, I don't know how long boats last, is going to be 7 years. Now, the acquire button is not available. I don't have a teal notification. What am I going to do? Remember, it's not going to the general ledger, so you're going to do a fixed asset journal because you want to record an acquisition for it. We're going to buy it, or we're looking to buy it 1/1/25. My fixed asset number is that B-cabin cruiser. My company book, my type is acquisition. Okay, let's say $200,000. Again, I don't know what boats cost, so could be really far-fetched. Okay, let's go ahead and post this. I have a $200,000 book value that I can play with. I want to close my card, and I have a really nice report from my fixed asset list under reports and FA book value. This might be the report that you use most frequently, not just for budgeted assets, but for all your assets. So I want to see what this would look like for 2025. I have a filter here that says budgeted assets. When it says yes, it's only giving me budgeted assets. If it says no, it doesn't give me any. If you leave it blank, then it gives you both. Okay? I'm going to say yes. I want to go ahead and preview this. This is a report that's, again, good for budgeting. It does better in Excel than it does on the screen here, though, okay, because the column headings get cut off. Acquisition cost, prior periods. Acquisition, this period. So these are the assets I've set up thinking I'm going to buy them sometime in 2025. Here's the total acquisition cost. Okay. Depreciation, prior year. Depreciation projections, the current year. And then, of course, this would be accumulated depreciation, book value previous year, book value this year. Oh my gosh, this is such great information, isn't it? And you don't even own these assets, but it's giving you a little picture of what you could have if you want to spend, I don't know, how much is it? $930,000. Now, watch what else we can do here. I'm going to come to my depreciation book. We haven't even looked at this page. This is where we set up the details for depreciation. I'm going to choose actions, functions, copy fixed asset entries to GL budget. I'm going to copy these to a budget that I've created for my 2025 fixed assets, because I may have other things in there too, right? I'm going to then, I want everything from 2025 to be copied over. These are just my fixed asset entries, no GL stuff. Okay, anything that is posted to an entry for 2025. Now, here you can choose what type of activity you want to copy over. I want acquisition. Now, because I am going to be doing this for just my budgeted assets, okay, budget projections do not go over. Okay, we have another report for that. So the reason that this could be turned on, even though it's useless right now, is if you had live assets in this report also, and you want to copy over the activity of those assets to your budget. Okay, so this is posted depreciation here. So really, I just want to copy over asset cost, anything that I'm going to purchase in 2025 for my budgeted assets. Okay, I'll go ahead and press OK here. And now it's done. You say, okay, what do we do with it now? Okay, let's do a search, and we're going to go to our GL budget and my 2025 budget for fixed assets. I have to do a little bit of filtering here. I'm going to change my date range. And I'm going to remove the filter to only show me my income statement accounts. Okay. So now I'm looking at all my GL accounts. Let me scroll up. Let me get up there. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, I went too high. Okay. So where's my fixed assets? Coming up. And I have, oh, here we go. In 2025, I have budgeted for $235,000 in vehicles. Okay, I can drill down on this beautiful thing. I haven't done any type of accumulated depreciation. I have no projections. Operating equipment of 200. Oh, look, I've got some land and buildings. So things that were posted outside of our webinar today. Well, I like this. Well, now I want some depreciation in here too. When we want to do some depreciation calculations or projections, you're going to run the report and projected value report. This report only copies over depreciation, none of the other types of activities, no acquisitions. So you kind of need both depending on what you want your picture to be, right? I am going to put it in my 2025 fixed asset budget. Okay. And again, I'm strictly limiting it to my assets that are budgeted. Okay. I'm going to do a preview here because it is a report. So what you're looking at is for all your budgeted assets, what the projected depreciation is for next year. So where's my crazy new car? Oh, you know what? I bought my car in 2024. And I have just, I'm looking at 2025. Okay, well, that's good. Oh, look, I have a jet ski. So I have some really fun stuff. Look, I have to build a couple garages because I have too many things. Let's see what happens to the budget. So I'm going to go back to my GL budgets and my 2025 budget for fixed assets. I have to clear the dates again. Oops. And my filter for income statement only. All right. Okay, oops, too fast. So I've got vehicles again. This time I've got some depreciation here. I can drill down and take a look at any of these details. Now I've got depreciation for my operating equipment. I don't know how I'm depreciating land. Oh, it's probably a building, not land. I can do this. I can even say, give it to me for 2 years. What does it look like If I do something that I purchased at the end of 2024, does it change things for me? Doesn't look like I have too much more in 2024. I would have to scroll all the way over to the right to find any details, or better off in 2025. So budgeting and fixed assets is a feature that isn't often used, but look at the power that you have behind it, right? Let me show you one more thing. I know we're short on time, got 10 minutes. Okay, let's talk about asset. We have questions?
Gina. Yeah, we have a few questions whenever you're wrapped up. I just want to make sure we leave a few minutes for those questions.
Okay, this will be 3 minutes because it's so simple. I am going to dispose of an asset, fixed asset GL. Okay, I'll just leave today as my disposal date. My type is fixed asset. And I'm going to dispose of, well, none of my budgeted stuff. What do I want to dispose of? Oh, how about Toyota Supra? I'm going to dispose of this Toyota Supra. It will be a disposal. I don't need a maintenance code. Now, so many people are like, well, what am I putting in for the amount? Is it the acquisition amount? Is it book value? And guess what? You're not going to put in anything. You're going to look at post and let's do our preview, because you know what? Business Central is going to do the work for you. You're going to have 3 entries here. We will, what is this? A debit. This has to be a gain or loss account. We're going to debit that gain or loss account. We will credit the actual asset cost account. And we're going to debit the accumulated depreciation, so we recover that back. So it takes it off of our balance sheet. Okay, that's super nice, you guys. Right? You didn't have to do any types of calculations here at all. Business Central does it for you. And all you need to do is go ahead and post it. And now you have not only updated your general ledger, but your fixed asset subledger is updated also. So you can continue to stay in balance between the general ledger and the subledger. And that's all I have for you today. So now let's see if Michelle or Amber have any questions for us.
We do. So the first one, for fixed assets and insurance policies acquired in a prior period, is adding in the information now going to pose an issue since the previous period is already closed?
Oh, good question. No, because the insurance does not go to the general ledger. It's just a fixed asset insurance journal. So it would be a good idea because then you can keep history on it. You can just keep entering the insurance journals for that particular asset from day one and how they renew, etc. Good question.
For our next question, Gina, we have, did I miss something on the fixed asset clearing account? How does posting the fixed assets, service, insurance using the clearing account get the entry to the general ledger accounts on the balance sheet and income statement?
Ooh, super question. Okay, when we're doing an acquisition and we use the fixed asset clearing account as the other side of the entry, that acquisition updates not only fixed assets, but it does go to the general ledger. So it's not an entry that just stays in fixed assets. It's a 2-sided entry. So when you post that, debit the asset cost account, credit the clearing account. Then when you actually have an invoice or some sort of document for that asset you purchased, you wouldn't debit the asset cost account again. You're going to debit the clearing account and credit AP. So then it wipes out. So there's really no income statement effect for an acquisition. If you're doing a disposal, nope, there's none there either. If you're doing maintenance, you can use the clearing account there. And in that respect, that the debit side of the maintenance transaction, the account number is going to come from the posting group assigned to the asset. You're again creating the credit side of the entry. So you would credit the clearing account if you're going to use the maintenance entry. If you're going to then turn around and enter the vendor's invoice, you won't debit a P&L account. You'll debit the clearing account so it nets to 0. It's just my way of doing things. And actually from my GP days, that is how it worked. So I just carry that over because I think it's a good idea.
Thank you, Gina. Those were all of our questions.
Perfect. Okay, let's go back to our slide. So that's our demo. That's our Q&A.
Awesome.
Any more questions that you have for us, you can get a hold of your client success manager or email us at clientsuccess@truenorthdynamics.com. Thank you for joining our webinar today, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.